With the San Francisco 49ers draft class locked up, ready to go, I'm curious to know which 49ers rookie is actually going to surprise the most in 2024. Is it going to be a late round draft pick? Could it be an undrafted free agent? I'm really curious to see which guy is going to step up and make an impact in 2024 and surprise. So, we are going to be talking about a bunch of stuff like that today. But you guys already know what to do. Drop your SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What's going down, gang? We got the SDS in the building. Happy hump day to you all. Man, I can't believe it's already the Wednesday after the draft. Man, we got rookie mini camp coming up here in a couple days. Man, all the rookies are reporting on May 9th. Rookie mini camp kicks off May 10th. Woo! We're going to have football back pretty soon. When I was looking at all the dates today for OTAs and mandatory minicamp and all that stuff, it got the training camp juices flowing. And I'm excited because for me, training camp signals the beginning of the year. Like that's when my season starts. So right now it's the off season, but it gets busy around the draft and free agency and all that stuff. And we'll get through these OTAs and mini camps and then we go on a nice little break. And then we get training camp. I'm starting to get hyped for training camp, man. I'm pent up. I'm tired of, reliving and rehashing everything from last year. I'm ready for a new season and we got a new roster. So I'm hyped off that. We got a new roster. And so I'm excited to see. Ooh, we got a Renardo clip cooking up from Le Detail. Can't wait to see what the boys cooking. But whoo, I cannot wait. When is the schedule release? That is a good question. Do we get the schedule release pretty soon? That's actually a phenomenal question because that is a pretty big day. When is the NFL schedule release? That's a big day. They make a big deal out of it too. Okay, so the 2024 schedule is released in May, but they don't give an exact date. Oh, it could be coming up in like a week or so. Oh, they're saying May 9th potentially. Yeah, so we might have schedule release in about a week or so, which I can't wait for that to come through. So that's going to be fun. We're going to get hyped off the schedule. A lot of people are going to start planning, their trips for next year. There are a couple games that I want to go to. Let's quickly, while we're on the 49ers schedule, we do know home and away for next year. Let's see, schedule 2024. There are a couple games. I think that we're playing Green Bay, right? On the road. Kansas City's coming to us. Let's see. I want to go to Green Bay. I think that would be absolutely fire. I want to go to Green Bay. Maybe Florida for Tampa Bay or the Dolphins. I went to Minnesota last year, so I'm probably gonna not go back because I already did that one. What other good trips are there? Honestly, it might be Green. Oh, Buffalo Bills. I want to go experience one of those Bills tailgates. Oh yeah, we got the Cowboys coming back. Dude, we got some fire home games, that's for sure. We're probably gonna have like another 5 primetime games uh that I can see based on the schedules. So that's gonna be phenomenal. But I want to get out on the road some more. I think Green Bay. I think I might have to go to Green Bay. I think that's gonna be a fire one. What is my college football team? Unfortunately, it's the Cal Bears. They're terrible. Um, but it is what it is. Those that's if I have to pick, those are my guys. But I actually think Cal might be sneaky this year. Sneaky good. Jaden Ott, phenomenal running back. They got this quarterback transfer out of Texas. I'm curious about. I don't know, maybe, but yeah, it's not fun being a Cal fan. It was fun being a Cal fan like 10 years ago when they're pumping out NFL prospects. Not so much as of late, but that's fine. I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm sure you did. It was popping everywhere. Um, but we got. I think I could be reading it wrong, but I think the Ricky Pearsall hype is at a good spot right now. I think 49er fans are feeling pretty good about Ricky Pearsall. And if you missed it earlier, this video of him during the pre-draft training, working out with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, just being able to kind of compare his cutting ability against two legitimate NFL, some of the freakiest NFL wide receivers right now. He definitely looks like he belongs. And we know how good and have fluid of an athlete Tyreek Hill is. And then you throw Ricky Pearsall in there. That dude's cutting fast, man. Um, so we got I think the hype for Ricky Pearsall, it took a while just based on, the initial kind of just getting the initial pick out of the way. But once we've kind of settled in, done our research, and this has been the common theme I've heard from a lot of fans. Once fans have done their research, they're like, damn, I like this pick. A lot of people did not like this pick when it first came through, but I would say the sentiment now is people are loving Ricky Pearsall, and what they envision he could be doing in the offense with the San Francisco 49ers. We did the film breakdown yesterday, live film breakdown of him versus LSU. Dude was cooking, man. You see the route running ability, you see all those cutting ability, all that stuff that he was doing on the field. You can see it translate onto the field. So I think people are getting excited about Ricky Pearsall. But if we're talking about big time rookie surprises, I don't know if Pearsall would be considered a surprise if he were to have a big season with the San Francisco 49ers as a rookie, because he was a first round draft pick. And now that we've gotten into it, like we're like, yeah, this guy's good. He's definitely a quality player. So I'm not sure that Ricky, if he was going to come out, is going to be a surprise. You know what I'm saying? When I'm thinking surprises, I'm thinking more late round guys, maybe late round, mid round. Um, just pretty much anyone who's not Ricky. And so that's kind of the question of the day of who do we think is going to crack some significant playing time for the 49ers as a rookie, one of the main talking points, at least on this channel, heading into the draft was this is a very, very important draft because we need to find guys who can contribute as rookies. The San Francisco 49ers have not done a phenomenal job in that regard the past 2 seasons, outside of guys like Jake Moody and Jair Brown. I'm trying to think back. I got to refresh my memory. What are these? What's the 2023? No, it's 2022 49ers draft class. That was Drake Jackson, right? We had Drake Jackson. Who else? Oh, gosh. The 2022 draft. Man, if we're looking back at the 2022 draft, we took Drake Jackson, 61st overall, Ty Davis Price, 93rd. And that was a specifically difficult pick because I remember I was huge on Rachaad White. Rachaad White at ASU was a draft crush. And he went 2 picks ahead of where Ty Davis Price was. Like, I was getting my hopes up. I was like, we're gonna get Rachaad White. And then they're like, nope. Here's Ty Davis Price. Ty Davis Price is currently a Philadelphia Eagle. And honestly could be out of the league in about 2 years. So wasn't a great pick in real time and proved to not be a good pick at all. The 49ers took Danny Gray with the 105th pick. I think it's clear to say that Danny Gray is officially on notice. His job is not safe. He is currently at the top of the list for cut candidates right now after getting redshirted all year. You had Spencer Burford as the 134th pick. Samuel Womack, 172nd pick. Nick Sakel, 187. Kalia Davis, Tariq Castro Fields. Oh, Brock Purdy. I guess hitting on Brock Purdy makes the 2022 draft much more palatable. I can't talk. I don't care. Obviously, hitting on Brock Purdy at 262, fantastic. But the 49ers have gotten zero production out of anyone else. I mean, you got Samuel Womack has provided some special teams performance. Obviously, Spencer Burford split starting duties as a rookie. He started a majority of last year while ultimately getting benched in the playoffs. So not trending in the right direction. Drake Jackson just had a unfortunate year and then ended the year on IR. I'm still not quite out on Drake Jackson yet. I think this is a big year for Drake. I think this is a big time year. Remember, he's only 23 years old. He was drafted really young. He was raw coming out. We knew that. So I'm not ready to give up on Drake Jackson. I think Drake could show up this year and kind of surprise a little bit. So I don't think he met expectation, but I think there's still room for growth. Only 23 years old. There's some rookies that the 49ers drafted. I would say almost all the rookies the 49ers drafted are older than Drake Jackson right now, including Ricky Pearsall. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not out on Drake yet. But outside of that, Ty's gone already. Danny Gray feels like he's got 1 foot out the door. Spencer Burford feels like he's going to be depth. Samuel Womack. I thought Womack showed promise. I don't know what's going on with that. Nick Sikel got hurt last year. Kalia Davis hasn't really done much of anything. And then, of course, Brock Purdy has saved us. So the point being is we obviously haven't got a lot of impact from the 2022 draft. We've got outside of Brock. I mean, Brock's huge. That's the outlier. But I think when you look at the 2023 draft, also Jair Brown, I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. We got our franchise kicker, Jake Moody. But we'll see what Darrell Luter is, Beal, Winters, Graham. This could be a big season for Winters and Graham, for sure, especially with the injury to Dre Greenlaw. So that draft class is still TBD. Latu, obviously, it could be a cut candidate. Just based on sheer numbers right now, he seems like he's going to make the squad because we don't have a lot of tight ends. I think we only have 4 tight ends on the roster. Braden Willis, though, I'm actually kind of excited about Braden Willis. And I agree with this 100%. You got to give some players time to develop. Not everyone develops right away. But so we're not out the weeds yet. Like, that's why I'm giving Drake some time. Some of those other players still got time. Womack's got time. Darrell Luter's got time. Braden Willis there's still some time for that. But as it stands right now, we need guys to have an impact. So look at this draft class, including undrafted free agents. You have Ricky Pearsall, Renardo Green, Dominic Pooney, Malik Mustafa, Isaac Garendo, Jacob Cowing, Jarrett Kingston, Tatum Bethune. Those are your drafted players. From undrafted players, you have Tanner Mordecai, Cody Schrader, Drake Nugent, Mason Pline. Yeah, Mason Pline, Bryson Mays, Evan Anderson, Jalen Mahoney. Out of these names, which let's do drafted and then we'll do undrafted, because there are some undrafted names here that I like. But I think if we focus currently on the draft of guys that we think could surprise, I think I've already seen it in the chat a couple times, but I think Malik Mustafa could be a guy that finds himself onto the field. I mean, this dude is a downhill thumper. And I forgot Tariq Owens. Thank you. Forgot Tariq Owens. Throw Tariq Owens into that mix for UDFAs. I think Mustafa, man, is a piss missile. That's a good thing. That dude will come downhill and he will punch you in the face. And as it stands right now, there's a good chance he could. There's a great chance he's going to make the active roster. And you're looking at a safety room of Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga recovering from ACL, George Odom, who is really just a special teams player. And then you got Malik Mustafa. There's a good chance we could see some Malik Mustafa early and often, especially on special teams. I think that's where he's really going to earn his hay. And then he could integrate really early on. So that's going to be a player that I can't wait to watch in training camp. I remember when Talanoa Hufanga was a rookie and how much he stood out to me as a rookie of just understanding where to be. I think that I remember the day that I specifically decided because it was non-padded practice. So I was like, I'm not watching O-line, D-line. I'm gonna watch this Talanoa Hufanga kid because Kwaski wasn't practicing. And so Talanoa Hufanga got run with the ones. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this guy against the ones. This dude was everywhere that he needed to be always. And I just remember being like, ooh, Talanoa is all over the place. Like wherever the ball was, Talanoa was right there. And I just remember being like, ooh, this guy seems like a guy. And sure enough, he turned into one. That's what I'm looking for Malik. I want to see I want to see if he can do those same things. Can he put himself consistently around the ball by playing smart? That's what Talanoa Hufanga did. He put himself constantly around the ball because he knew what was coming. The game wasn't too fast for him. So that's what I want to be looking for. But he has a great, and when you look at right now, the depth behind him heading into training camp, you only got Taylor Hawkins, who did play well before he broke his wrist, and Eric Harris. So safety depth is pretty light right now. So the path for Malik is there. So he could definitely be a surprise. So that's a guy that I'm looking forward to watching in this class. Obviously, we know. I think a lot of us think that Ricky is going to be a guy that could show out as a year one guy. I'm really curious to see how Jacob Cowing fits into this whole mix. There's a lot of wide receivers. It's kind of a log jam right now. Let's read through some of the wide receivers that are currently on the roster. You got Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, Ronnie Bell, Chris Conley, Danny Gray, Tay Martin, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Tariq Evans. So you got a good amount. You got a good amount of wide receivers. Good amount. So it's going to be tough sledding for a guy like Jacob Cowing to get on the field right away. But I think that's another guy I'm super hyped to watch at training camp. I'm super hyped to watch Jacob Cowing at training camp. Man, I just remember being in Lucas Oil Stadium for the NFL scouting combine. And so I'm watching all the wide receivers in person in front of me, just one after another. The dude who put in the smoothest gauntlet, the gauntlet drill, that's the drill where you run down a straight line. You have quarterbacks on each side. You got to catch, catch, catch. Jacob Cowing had probably the smoothest gauntlet drill out of any one of those wide receivers. That dude just looks like a ball player, and he is smooth. And so I'm excited to see what he does, but it will be difficult. I say it will be difficult for him to get on the field. If he balls, that will be a surprise for sure, just because I think it will be a challenge. But I think one of the biggest surprises for sure could definitely be Renardo Green. And especially, I'm so curious. I feel like Brandon Staley is quietly having a huge influence on the 49ers defense. Am I the only one that feels like this? Like I really do. I really feel like Brandon Staley has a massive voice in that defensive room. I really do feel like they didn't feel comfortable with the optics of naming him defensive coordinator. That's really what it feels like. I feel like Brandon Staley, they're like, listen, if we name you the defensive coordinator, our friend our fans are gonna show up at our door and they're gonna pull us out of here. We want you as the DC, but hey, we're gonna put you in this specialized you know, high level defensive consultant role. I don't even know if he has a title yet. Do we have a title for Brandon Staley? Just all things defense? I don't even know if he's got a title. But I think the combination of Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley, I think we could see some wrinkles. I think we could see some changes. And I think that's the biggest, most welcomed thing we could ask for. The defensive plan last year was atrocious. It was awful. I it was and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm a defensive expert in regards to X's and O's. It's not my specialty, but I could see. I know enough football that I could see on defense that we had some problems. That you hear it all the time. You want to marry Russian coverage together. We weren't married. We were divorced. We had a divorce between Russian coverage, and it was so blatantly obvious. It was so frustrating. I would say the most frustrating game that we had was against the Minnesota Vikings on that Monday night. That defensive performance was one of the most aggravating defensive performances I had seen by the San Francisco 49ers in a very, very long time. And they kind of figured it out a little bit down the stretch and they started to improve. I think really after the bye was a big change for them. That was the whole like bringing Wilkes down to the booth and like that whole nauseating situation. But the point being is I think with the marriage of Staley and Sorensen, they're going to change things up. So guys like Renardo Green might be able to have a big impact as a rookie. And I'm really curious to see. I'm really curious. Let me ask the chat this. Do you think Renardo Green is a good enough player to keep a guy like Xavier Howard away? Do you think that the 49ers feel like they got a guy with Renardo Green? They also brought in Isaac Yadam, Chase Thomas, Rock Ya-Sin. With these guys, they feel comfortable enough that we don't need to bring in an Xavier Howard. We don't need to bring in a, veteran. And I really think that's what OTAs could really be. I think OTAs could be a little bit of a tryout of like how comfortable are we with our cornerbacks? Is Renardo Green that guy? I think he is. I do. I really like Renardo Green. Um, I think he is a player that can absolutely surprise this year. And if you can get Charvarius Ward, Deommodore Lenoir, and Renardo Green on the field at the same time, whoo, dude, if Renardo is what I think he is, man, listen, what was the last time the 49ers took a cornerback in the second round? I might have been a baby. Like, it feels like that long ago. They took a cornerback in the second round. I think they got plans. think they got plans for Renardo. So I think Renardo could absolutely be a guy that comes in as a rookie and surprises. Like I think, yeah, I remember that. We were talking about the DBs. Taylor Mays. Dude, I remember going to 49ers training camp, watching Taylor Mays versus Colin Kaepernick. Oh my gosh, wearing my Mike Ayupati jersey. Oh man, talk about pure bliss as a San Francisco 49er fan. You've got Jim Harbaugh, you've got Staley, Vernon Davis, Frank Gore. I mean, you got Bowman and Willis, Deshaun Goldson, Justin Smith, Alden Smith, Ahmad Brooks. I mean, you had all the legends running around. The 49ers draft Kaepernick, they draft Taylor Mays. You're like, oh, we are Super Bowl. We are championship. I remember one of my favorite, like it's burned into my brain plays from training camp of that era was Colin Kaepernick running down the left sideline from about, I want to say, 60 yards out. And Taylor Mays being the safety and them getting in a foot race where Colin Kaepernick's running down the left sideline. Taylor Mays is trying to cut off his angle. And I'm sitting in the end zone that Kaepernick is running at. And I'm just watching Taylor coming all the way from across the field, Kaepernick trying to out sprint him and beat the angle, and then Cap whooped them right at the last second, just put on the burners and ran right past Taylor Mays. And I was like, dude, this team is sick. Those were the days, man. Those were the days, the good old days. Leon says Cowing has the best acceleration in the class, over 13 miles an hour within 5 yards. I'm thinking the cheat play Miami uses with Hill, he gets a running start. Well, funny enough, uh, Justin really gets Tyreek Hill vibes, if I'm not mistaken, from Cowing and how he could be used. So you and Justin need to talk because I think you guys are speaking the same language. Uh, Cap says, "Tell me why I can't wait for Brad to watch the O line in training camp. Gonna need that daily scoop of pony." I can't wait to break down the O line in training camp. This is gonna be, I think, a big O line camp. I think we're gonna have some legitimate competitions going on. I think we're gonna have Burford, Feliciano, Pooney, Brendel, Banks. I think they're all just going to be competing. I think they're going to say, may the best man win. And they're going to say, Pooney, learn center, learn left guard, learn right guard. And let's see what you do. So Pooney could be a guy that could be a surprise impact. I think Pooney could be a guy if there's an injury too. I think if there's an injury to someone on the interior, he could absolutely be it. But we'll see. This is a big camp for Spencer Burford, I would say, for sure. Let's talk about some of the undrafted free agent guys who could be a potential impact. I think the names that I look at, I see Evan Anderson. Mason Pline is intriguing to me, just considering the fact that we don't have a lot of tight end depth right now. and he's got really good size at 6'7", 260 pounds. He didn't have a lot of production. 32 receptions, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns. But I'm intrigued. He looks like an athlete just based on the lack of depth. He might be able to be a little sneaky. Might be able to be a little sneaky. But I think Cody Schrader could be a sneaky sneak. Again, I watched Cody Schrader about 2 seconds in. I was like, that's Alfred Morris Jr. running style. Like he legitimately like looked like Alfred Morris to me. And Alfred Morris put up, I think, over 1,000 yards rushing in Kyle Shanahan's system as like a 6th-round rookie. He's 5'8", 202 pounds, but the man, bro, how do you run for 1,627 yards in the SEC, 14 touchdowns, and you go undrafted? He knows how to do something. They point to him, being small and slow, and again, this guy ain't gonna win the measurable Olympics, but he clearly knows how to play football. Again, one of those prospects where you're like, well, everything about you is not ideal from a measurable standpoint, but for whatever reason, when they give you the football, you just produce with it. So he's a guy that I'm very curious to see how he runs in training camp. Very curious. Very, 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 very curious. And he definitely has a shot to make the practice squad. I think it would be a long shot for him to make the roster. Yeah, Schrader and Guerendo are polar opposites. I get so much Raheem Mostert vibes watching Guerendo on tape. I get so much Raheem Mostert vibes. And I think when people hear Raheem Mostert, they just think of the speed element. What people don't remember or what they don't talk about enough with Raheem Mostert was his patience, his ability to push horizontally and then cut vertically. That was one of my favorite things about Raheem, is that he would push horizontally flat to the line of scrimmage. He'd wait for the flow of the O-line, linebackers, D-line. He'd wait for the flow to kind of get into its spot, and then he would just cut uphill, and then he would just burst through the hole. And when I watch Guerendo, that's what I see. I see a guy who has that patience, can push horizontally to the line of scrimmage, but he doesn't lose yardage, because the second he decides to go north-south, he's north-south in a hurry. And that's what I loved about, like, absolutely loved about Raheem Mostert, was that ability. And we haven't had that ability since Raheem Mostert. We don't, I mean, obviously, CMC is him, and he can do all those different types of things. But when I think of like Raheem, I think like Isaac Guerendo looks just like Raheem to me. And I was a big Raheem guy. Big Raheem guy. So when I look at Isaac, I'm like, ooh, I see some outside zone coming back. We've kind of been away from the outside zone a little bit. We've run a lot of gap scheme, like a lot of power concepts, which wasn't how we started out. But I think because we haven't had that zone runner, we moved away. And not that CMC isn't a zone runner. CMC can run it all. It really doesn't matter. But that true natural ability to push horizontally and cut vertically, that's where I think Isaac will excel and can really bring back that outside zone look without CMC. That's been the huge problem is without CMC, we have not been able to run any outside zone. And I think that's what Isaac brings. Isaac brings that ability back to be able to push outside zone minus CMC in the lineup. So he might even be a guy that could be a surprise in regards to production this year. I mean, they clearly like him. They traded up to go and get him. So it'll be interesting. What do you guys expect from Tariq Owens? I don't know if I'm expecting much from Tariq Owens. I think if we get into training camp and Tariq Owens is doing stuff, I think I would be pleasantly surprised. I don't know if I don't know. I feel like they're kind of this kind of feels like we're gonna give him a look. Like we're gonna give him a look. But if he turns out to be anything other than that, I think that's a win. So we'll see what Tariq can do. I'm excited about what Drake Nugent can do. The 49ers quietly stacking up some centers, smaller centers, but I mean Drake Nugent's got starting experience, clearly a smart player. He was a captain at Stanford, starting center for the you know Michigan Wolverines, man, that went all the way to that won the Natty. Like I know he was playing, in between two NFL guards, but I watched a little bit of him. I was like, yeah, he seems like he could be a Brendel type. I don't see why not. I don't see why he couldn't be a Brendel type. I mean, remember Brendel was I'm pretty positive was an undrafted free agent coming out of UCLA. And look at him now. He's he was an undrafted free agent in 2016. And Chris Forster like has this I think he has this type. He has a type. And I feel like Nugent is his type. Evan Anderson's going to be interesting. I'm curious about him, the defensive tackle. Uh got that 6 foot, 320 pounds. It's funny. His height is in the it's third percentile, meaning he's one of the shortest defensive tackles in this draft class, but his weight is in the 91st percentile. So he's short, but he's big. And we'll see. We'll see if he has any see if he has any impact. We'll find out. We shall find out. But I mean, the kid had 5 sacks and 10 quarterback hurries and 16 total pressures from the interior. So we'll see. We'll see how he fares. I think there's an opportunity for some guys to I think Evan Anderson might have the best shot at potentially sneaking onto this roster as an undrafted free agent. I would say Mason Pline also has a good shot of sneaking onto this roster as an undrafted free agent. Jalen Mahoney intrigues me. Jalen Mahoney has been a very productive player as a 3-year starter, and he also played a lot as a freshman. But Jalen Mahoney just intrigues me. He feels like he could be a sneaky guy. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm liking the class though overall for the 49ers. I'm finally feeling better. I'm just fighting allergies. I still got a little bit of a cough, but it is so much better than what it was during the draft. So much better. But now I'm fighting allergies. So, but anyways, I think when you look at this class, I like it, man. I really do. It's growing on me. I liked it initially, but it's growing on me even more. As we really deep dive into all these different guys, we start to think about how they fit and integrate with the current roster and how they could, really they could really solidify some spots here. So we'll see. We shall see. But I like it. I like the roster. Defense. I'm very curious to see what the defense looks like in training camp. That's my biggest question mark is defense. Offense, we got every starter returning. I feel pretty confident about what the offense is going to be providing. The defense is what I want to see. I want to see, what does Leonard Floyd look like? What does Yetur Gross-Matos look like? Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, Devondre Campbell, Isaac Yiadom, and of course, all the rookies. But I think I know the 49ers have put together a competent roster. Now we just got to see how it all blends together. So I like it. I think we're in a good spot. Shout out to everyone for tapping in today. Smash that like button on your way out. Grab your cookies on your way out. Time to go to Costco. Let's go. Bye. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.